Hello everyone, today I'm going to be talking about this political correctness versus stand-up comedy argument that's going on, and it seems to be getting louder and louder all the time. What's the best way to go about it? Where should we put our focus as comedians? And pretty much all about writing great content. Let's get the video started. Hello and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Comedy. My name is Gary Michaels and this channel is dedicated to new comedians. If you are starting out in your comedy career, then I urge you to hit that subscribe button, never miss a future episode, and get the best comedy tutorial videos every single week and get performing the correct way as easy as possible. Of course, if you've already hit the subscribe button and you're coming back to this channel to view this video, a big welcome back to you. On today's video, I'm going to be talking about political correctness versus stand-up comedy, and how can we perform material that we might think is offensive or over the line or hard-hitting in a world that seems to be more politically correct every single month. I'm going to give you a few of my opinions on this, a few of my experiences from the past, and how I've got a little bit of offensive material over on an audience through rewriting and looking at it from other people's point of view, which I think is the right way to go about doing this. Of course, we've all seen successful comedians over and over again performing hard-hitting and offensive material and not only getting away with it but being championed for it. And there is reason to why they can do this. They have a large collection of material online that they know their fans are engaging in over and over again. The more material they have online, the more fans already know exactly what kind of a character they are. They know what they're in for before they even buy a ticket. So when they turn up in the venue, finally getting to see this act live on stage, they are ready and looking forward to when that act delivers hard-hitting material. This is not the case when you are starting out in your comedy career. It's going to take a long time before you build up any type of fan base, which means you're going to need to be a lot smarter and more careful with the kind of material you put out there. I've said it before many times, there are other places you should focus on at the beginning of your comedy career. You should leave off writing offensive material and delivering offensive material on stage for as long as you possibly can, because at the beginning of performing, the number one place to focus on is being likable. Make an audience like you first, and then focus on how to make them laugh. They will not laugh at your jokes if they don't like the basics of what your character on stage is about. Of course, if you're enjoying this video, do give it a like. Hit that button right now. Helps the YouTube algorithm get more eyes on the video, and I will be eternally grateful. Hit that button right now. Then figure out how to make them funny. You should be writing as wide range of jokes as you possibly can in order to connect to as many people as you can. Once you've figured out how to do that, then you can get away with appealing to the demographic of that audience, the one that suits you best. So if at that stage you decide that it's the offensive road you want to go down and write hard-hitting jokes and express yourself within that way, you will then find it easier to write that material for that demographic because you've already figured out how to be likable and how to be funny without being offensive. I want to also point out that the political correctness versus stand-up comedy fight that's going on mainly exists on social media. It doesn't normally happen at live shows. And what I mean by that is there is an idea going around that hard-hitting offensive material goes down easier in some cities than it does in others. And I have found this to be only slightly true. Sometimes you need to rewrite an offensive line while performing it in certain cities. But the certain cities you need to rewrite the offensive line for, that rewritten line can be performed correctly in all of those cities where you might need to just filter out the joke ever so slightly. You can still tell it in your own style. But this is only slightly true. In my experience, if a set and a joke are constructed well, they will go down well with nearly any audience. Sure, there might be a small section of an audience that's offended, but they're not that likely to kick up a huge fuss about it on social media or complain to the person hosting the show. That's very rarely done. The reason we think it's done a lot is because we are attracted as comedians online to read all of these negative reports about other comedians. And of course, we want to get shocked that someone else said something negative about one of our own. And we want to fight for the right to say whatever it is we want to say on stage. My advice would be to stay away from the social media political correct versus stand-up comedy arguments going on. Because a lot of the time, the people involved in those arguments aren't attending live shows. If someone considers themselves to be so politically correct that they're going to go online and comment negatively about a comedian saying something on their live show, and then that person is not likely to attend a stand-up comedy event anytime in the future. And you won't find much comedians wasting much time online involved in these arguments because they are too busy performing at shows or writing good material. And that's the most important part of all, writing good material. Because if you write good material that makes sense with who you are on stage and how you deliver it, and it's thought about, and it means something, well, you can go offensive. The more experience you gained, yes, you can say whatever the hell you want to say, as long as you've learned your lesson from when it didn't work. Because when you do eventually promote yourself to the position of writing hard-hitting, offensive material, there is going to come a time in the future where you do offend a person, and you are going to have to look at your material in an honest way from their point of view. Now, it might be that you stand by your material and you have the experience to know that this person, it's only their opinion, and the audience reacted positively to the joke, especially the majority of them anyway, 70 or 80% responded really well to the joke. Then you can probably just look at it as one person complaining and move on. But if the joke doesn't get a decent response from the audience and a few people complain about it afterwards, perhaps, maybe the joke's not to blame, but the way you delivered it was. Maybe you set it up wrong. Maybe it was too obviously punching down. Maybe you didn't give your audience enough time to buy into who you are as a character on stage before you took them to the offensive place. Remember, likability first over everything else. Again, we go back to successful comedians. They have all figured out a way to be likable and relatable with the audience before they dare go near any place with offensive material involved. Of course, they have also bombed on stage after saying an offensive line, but this has happened years ago in the past, and they too have looked at their material and rewrote it, readapted themselves, edited their set over and over again in order to be able to connect with the audience in the best way. And they have figured out how to be likable first. Writing and delivering offensive material is a craft within itself. If you're a very confident person, that doesn't mean that you can go and say exactly what it is you want as quick as possible on stage, because confidence is not charisma. Also, if you're a very nervous person who's only in their first few gigs, that nervous energy certainly doesn't give you the right to say whatever it is you want. It takes time to understand how an audience is going to react in front of a joke. Now, of course, there are going to be times in the future where you have to just give a joke a go and see what happens in the room, and then rewrite it depending based on what the audience reaction has been. But that's only going to be successful within a set where jokes are definitely going to work. So when you have a set that you know strong material is going to be delivered, and you will win over the audience with the majority of what you're going to say, then you can start bringing in these offensive lines and putting them in parts of your show that you know are strong, so you have other jokes to fall back on if and when that offensive joke doesn't work. In my experience and the experience of performers I know well and have spoken to on this topic, when a joke doesn't work, now I mean doesn't work as in doesn't get a laugh and also gets a complaint from an audience member, that means that you have to look at the joke and look at your material and do your very best to change something about it. Perhaps change everything about it, because in the end of the day, if it's not getting a laugh, who are you really up there for? It's not yourself, because you won't be asked back if your jokes aren't getting a laugh. So you're not doing yourself any favors. Now, I'm not saying that you can't deliver that punchline. You can. I do believe any punchline, it's possible to deliver on stage. But the setup and the reasoning for saying it needs to be addressed. Perhaps you're looking at it from a different point of view, and that's where the success is. Maybe you're letting them know how hard hitting your material is going to be when you walk on stage, and you can let them know in very funny ways. So there's plenty of ways of addressing material that's going to go down on the offensive side, and it's up to you to be honest with yourself and also get creative. There can be lots of funny places to go while letting an audience know how ridiculous the opinion you have is. And that way they can nearly be ready for the offensive line before it comes. And that might be a joke within itself. So don't think just because you have to rewrite the jokes that you're taking the humor out of it. That is not the case. And in my experience of rewriting the jokes, that's where the funny lies. Because we might think of an offensive line and go, oh, that's really great, I'd love to say that and get everyone laughing, and then write it down. And most jokes aren't that easy. That's why being funny before being offensive needs to be a hurdle you get over, because you need to understand how to write funny. And writing funny is difficult because you need to find the simplicity, connecting with the audience and making them laugh. And once you can write a joke and then rewrite a joke and create a small story you're going to say on stage, and that works, then you can go to the next level of writing, which is writing with more attitude and maybe bringing them towards the line. And after you figured out how to do that, well then perhaps you can throw one joke in there that's across the line just to test the water and see how they respond to you delivering a line that's offensive. So of course the entire point I'm making in this video is to write, rewrite, and keep rewriting. It's not about going on automatic and creating new material all the time. Just as important, it's about going back to those old routines and figuring out where more funny is hidden within those lines. And take out the jokes that are not working for you. If you have an offensive line and it's not getting a laugh consistently, take it out. You will do yourselves a favor. Do not be stubborn and leave it in just because you want to say it on stage, because getting away with it is getting a laugh from it. But you might only have to take that joke out for a specific amount of time before the entire set gets a strong reaction, and you can put it back in, perhaps in a different place, and an idea will occur to you of a way to tell it in a way that's going to get it past. So just because you take it out for a while, it doesn't mean you have to throw it away. So there's a lot of material there to cover one basic point, which is to rewrite, and don't involve yourself with the fight that's going on this political correctness versus stand-up comedy. Because as I said, it mostly exists online and on comment sections of people's videos, and you're better off enjoying the video of stand-up comedy itself and then going back and writing great material, because in the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Good material will trump offensive material just for the point of being offensive all the time. So go write some great material right now, and if great material becomes offensive, well then so be it. But make sure it's great first. first. That's your homework to do for this evening. Of course, as well, you can click any of the links you see on the screen at the end of this video and get even more tutorial videos, get performing your career the right way. Thank you for hitting the subscribe button, and as always, you can support this channel the best way. You can become a member. Information in how to do so is in the description box. From me, I will see you on the next video. Right on.